Hello, hello, and welcome. Today I'm going to be speaking on how to overcome overwhelm with your God-given vision and goals and dreams and all that jazz. And just in case you don't know me, let me introduce myself. My name is Nina Dafe, and I am the founder and editor of the Far Above Rubies Collection.com, where I help ladies just like your amazing self to know their worth, their power, and their purpose as a woman of God. Now, before I get into the main, subject matter, I always kind of talk about what got me thinking along these lines. And if I'm very, very honest with you, it is the fact that this week I have been overwhelmed myself. I've been tired, y'all. I've been tired, okay? Hello to the person who just joined. Yeah, I've been tired. And so I have kind of been battling through overwhelm myself. Why have I been tired? 2018, I think, has just very much been a year of birthing the goals and dreams. Well, I say a year, it's only March, but you know what I mean. Just going into this year, it's already kind of been a year of birthing the goals and dreams that God has given me and laid on my heart. So towards the end of 2017, I got the idea of, doing a video podcast and basically mentoring you guys in the Far Above Rubies collective alongside amazing ladies who are just doing great things within the kingdom of God. And so I started to interview and all of that sort of jazz. And so the last few weeks I've just, started to roll out those videos and launch. When I first kind of got the idea, I really underestimated how long it would take me to put all the interviews together. And so, what I'm kind of putting out at the moment is season 1, and looking ahead to season 2, I was like, knowing that this thing could take months, what with synchronizing schedules and reaching out to people that I admire and the back and forth of emails and stuff like that. Let me give myself a head start. Let me do it what it is that I need to do to actually, make sure that I'm not in the same kind of anxious hamster wheel place that I was in last year. But doing all of this, pursuing purpose, while actually still, working a job, while still having other responsibilities and stuff like that, I still just kind of felt this week like I was just kind of really tired and actually quite exhausted. And it took me back to a conversation that I was having with my VA, Maddie, my amazing super sidekick, last month. And she is such an inspiring lady, and she too has been kind of doing interviews, and her business has really kind of experienced a boom and a growth because she is amazing at what she does. She's the one who kind of helps me to schedule my social media and all of that sort of stuff, and actually design it, because that's not my forte, that's not my gift, and I don't know where I would be in terms of the beautiful look that she gives the blog and the brand if it wasn't for her. And very long story short, I remember speaking to her, and she was kind of saying the same thing, funnily enough, that I was saying this week of, I prayed for this, this boom, this growth, this expansion, but reeling in the harvest is actually quite exhausting. Giving birth to this baby is actually quite difficult. It's still work. And I feel like a lot of the times when we think about our goals and our dreams, when we pray the prayers for the things that we want, especially if it's a God-sized vision, at first we can really underestimate exactly how much work and what it will require of us in terms of the stretching that we kind of go through, and that God allows us to be put under as we're kind of birthing our goals and our dreams. And that's really what, as I said, I was kind of experiencing this week. And it really took me back to what I was talking about in a previous video, where I talked about actually sometimes, not even sometimes, in order to birth physical children as well as brain children, so our goals, our dreams, and our ideas, we always have to go through a labor. There's always hard work. There's always a pressure. There's always a push that comes from having to birth these things. And it got me kind of going, well, if that's the case, in order to actually bring forth, our brain children and our ideas, then if we take it a step further and think about what it's like when you actually bring your baby home and how they won't stop crying, the sleepless nights, the changing of the nappies, like it's not always glamorous, and so kind of using that same kind of analogy, I really want to talk about how to overcome overwhelm. So here are my tips, okay? So continuing along the whole giving birth, brain children correlation thing that we've got going on. My first tip would be that it takes a village to raise a child. Let me give you a bit of background about this. On Monday, so that was Monday, the 11th of March, just gone, it was actually Mother's Day in the UK. And I don't have any children of my own. And whenever people ask me, hey, are you kind of thinking about having kids or anything like that, my answer is always, I am really not broody. And the reason for that, I always go on to say, is because I feel like, well, I've got more than three, but especially in like my earlier kind of 20s, I would always say I already have 3 kids. And what I meant by that is, I have got god brothers and a god sister who were all kind of born in my teenage years. And, their mother always says that they were born into my hands, So I've really kind of had a hand in raising them. I used to babysit, basically you could just say like I've kind of been like a second mum to them. And what was really, really lovely, what the last one, so the third one is actually about to enter his teens. So they're all teenage children, and I guess old enough to reflect and realize who the constants have been in their lives and who's really kind of been there, who cares, all of that sort of jazz. What was really, really sweet is they went out of their way to call me on Mother's Day and wish me a happy Mother's Day, because they said that I was like a second mum to them, and just to thank me and for all the input that I've kind of had in their lives so far. And of course that got me all in my feelings, all in my emotions in a really positive way. And it really got me thinking of what I was saying in terms of for our brain children. It's the same way. As we are nurturing them, as we are putting in the work to not just birth them, but to grow them up, into where we actually saw them being in our mind's eye, the big vision that God gave us, we tend to have very small manifestations in the beginning before it grows, and it then becomes this, I guess, big monster of a thing that we need to take care of, and that can cause us to feel overwhelmed. And so that being the case, just like with natural children, just like it takes a whole village to raise our natural children, it takes a whole village to raise our brain children as well. So when I talked about the birthing process, I talked very much about the fact that we need to pay attention to who our birthing partners or midwives actually are. That there are people that are God sent in our lives to help us to push our dreams forward and to help us to bring it out. Likewise, when we start to see the manifestations of it, and when we start to see our dreams grow up and blossom into the thing that they are supposed to be, we have I guess our mutual caregivers, the aunties, the uncles, the babysitters and nannies who are going to help us with this dream. And so if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling like, oh my gosh, I can't do this by myself, you're right. Number one, you need God. You need God. That's first and foremost. You need to include him in everything. Proverbs 16:3 basically says that if we commit all of our thoughts and all of our plans to God, then he will make sure that they are established. So first and foremost, number one, you need to make God the CEO of your life, of your vision, of your purpose, of your business, if that's something that you've got or want to have, because at the end of the day, he's the one that gives us the peace that we need and the strength that we need to carry our visions and to keep it going, to reap the harvest, and to make sure that the brainchild that we have grows up in the way that we expected it to. The second thing is look for your natural teammates. I mentioned Maddie earlier. I've also mentioned my mentor Indira in previous videos as well. The fact of the matter is, we can't do it by ourselves spiritually, and we also can't do it by ourselves in the natural. We need people to come up alongside us and to help us to carry these things and to do the work that we basically need done in these moments. So what I really want you to think about is, not just who your midwives are, not just who your birthing partners are, but maybe who you need to collaborate with in this moment. Who do you need to delegate to? Who do you need to ask for help? Who has a skill set or, something that they can offer to you to help you to actually grow and mold this thing to what it needs to be. We sometimes feel like we need to do things by ourselves. We sometimes can get into this thing of pride, thinking that we just have to, carry it ourselves. We get into this martyrdom, this martyr syndrome. That's not the will of God, though. If you think about Jesus, he was the Son of God, yet he still assembled a team. He still called disciples. He still left the church in our hands in order then for it to grow and to spread and to become the thing the global international thing that it has become as the body of Christ 2,000 years later. If even God and the Son of God did that, then how much more us? How much more do we also need to ask for help and make sure that we've got teammates? So if you're in a business, for example, who do you need to hire? Do you need a VA like I did when I felt like I was floundering? As a mother, just like my family friend, do you need to call on your loved ones or your friends or your family? Really think about those things as you're walking towards your purpose, as you're going towards your goals and dreams. Number one, putting God first, making him the CEO, committing your ways to him so that he can establish your thoughts, your dreams, and your path, but also who in the natural, who of flesh and blood, of people do you need to reach out to? Don't be so spiritually minded that actually you forget that you can actually use the people around you as well. The other thing that I would say, I think I've got, I normally give 3 points. Today, I think I've got 4. So the third thing that I would say is one of my favorite sayings, one Coco, full basket. Okay. And that's just basically to say, if you're feeling overwhelmed, you need to just think about the fact that if you were going out there picking cocoa and you just went out there and you picked 1 cocoa a day, just literally 1 cocoa today, left it, went out again tomorrow and did that, it would probably take you a long time. But the fact of the matter is that basket would eventually get filled. Sometimes we're overwhelmed because we put so much pressure on ourselves, or we're in such a rush, or we're looking at other people and how fast they seem to be going, or we somehow have this scarcity and lack mentality where we feel like there's no time, or whatever the case may be. I want to remind you that one cocoa full basket. So like how I've been saying to you that this week, girl, I have been tired. Yeah. And when I'm in that mode, there's no point pushing myself to the brink and point of death. All I can do is do one thing at a time, as much as my strength allows me, each and every day. So if that's just, hey, one thing that I can do, then that is one thing that I will do. If it's one or two, then I will do the one or two. But you just take it at the pace that you can, and don't beat yourself up over it. Don't condemn yourself over it. You do what needs to be done, because the fact of the matter is, it's better to have to make small progress than it is to kind of do it all at once to the point where you crash and burn and can't actually do anything for a long time because you've burnt out, and then all the progress that you made so rapidly is basically undone because of the amount of rest, forced rest, because your body's crying for help, that you needed to then do in the first place. Okay, so I really want you to get into your head that another way of building overwhelm is not just to make God the CEO and to give him all your worries, cast your burdens on him, let him give you his peace, is not just to ask for help, delegate, think about who the people are around you that can really come up alongside and support you, but to know that, look, you don't need to do everything all at once. You're not Superwoman, you're not a martyr. Inch by inch is a cinch. 1-1 Coco, full basket. Please and thank you. And I think the last kind of bonus tip that I'm going to leave you with is the fact that, or not even the fact that, to adopt the ministry of no. To say no to people pleasing. I know it's hard. Sometimes we feel that demonstrating the love of Christ to other people, means that we must say yes to everything and always be there for people and self-sacrifice and all of that sort of jazz. But when we're walking in purpose and when we've got goals and when we've got dreams that we need to fulfill, you can't do everything. And sometimes in saying yes to other people, you're actually saying no to yourself. And the fact of the matter is, we all know that, the parable of the talents, for example, lets us know that with the talents, the gifts, the visions, the goals, the dreams that God has put inside of us, God expects a return on his investment. He doesn't want to hear at the end of the day that he gave us and endowed us with all this stuff and let us know what it is that we should actually be doing with our time, but we kind of spent it doing it. We spent it doing things that we weren't actually supposed to, even if we thought that it was for the sake of blessing other people. Sometimes even when we think we're doing the right thing, we're actually doing the wrong thing because we're still being disobedient. So we really need to kind of make sure that we're not in that camp as well. And just to tie it back in with the whole birthing process analogy of having a child, any responsible new parent, when you've just taken home your new baby, you're not necessarily going to go out in the same way that you used to. The same spontaneity that you had in terms of just being able to pick up and go meet your friends, or go out for some cocktails, or whatever the case may be, leave the country, go on a holiday because that's what you just decided to do. Like, you can't just do those things when you've got a child or children. All of a sudden it's not just about you. You got to think about this being, this little person that you are taking care of, and put them first. It's the same with the goals and the dreams that God has given us and that he has laid on our hearts. We need to be responsible stewards. We need to be responsible parents over what it is, the gifts, the talents, the goals, the dreams that he has given us, and that we in turn say that we want. So it really means that our actions and what it is that we're doing every day, the habits that we have, really should be congruent with the goals and the dreams that we say that we want, and that we're ready to give birth to and actually grow and nurture and all of that sort of stuff. I hope that all makes sense. Please, in the comments, let me know that you're still vibing with me. Let me know that you have, whether this has resonated, especially if you are somebody who has been feeling overwhelmed like I have this week. So, very quickly, just to recap, if you are feeling overwhelmed, if you are, you're going through the birthing process, or, you're actually at the point where you've got your dream, it's starting to manifest, and now it's just a matter of maintaining and continuing to push and, do what it is that you need to do in order to make this thing grow into what you actually saw in your mind's eye, that big God-sized vision. Here's what you need to do in order to overcome overwhelm. Number one, make God the CEO of your life. Yeah, you need to first and foremost give it all to God. Let him direct you. Let him give you your peace. All the stuff that I've been praying about, move in faith, read the Bible, whatever scriptures that you need to, I think I mentioned prayer, all of those things that we know that we need to do in order to stay connected to the vine that is Jesus. Do those things. That's what's going to keep you. That's really what's going to give you the strength to push through overwhelm and actually not be paralyzed by it. Number two, look around for your teammates, look around for your natural midwives, your birthing partners, but also the people that are going to be your nannies, the people that are going to help you, be the village to help you raise this child. So if that means asking for help, ask for help. If that means delegating, delegate. If that means, if you've got a business, for example, hiring new staff, hire new staff. Who can you kind of get on board to help and support you? Who can come alongside your vision, and make it be what it needs to be? Those are people that you really need to think about speaking about within the next few days and, within the next week, obviously, until we kind of get back together again. The third point that I mentioned was the ministry of no, okay? There is power in the word no. And it's liberating. It's liberating, and we need to learn how to say it without apology, without feeling bad, and without allowing people to make us feel guilty or subject to their entitlement. At the end of the day, we must first make sure that our cups are full before we pour out to others, and making sure that that whole analogy is usually kind of used, to do self-help, emotional well-being and self-care. But I think it's also the same with our goals and dreams. At the end of the day, what is the point of going out there and helping people with their goals and supporting them in their stuff, and actually you haven't made sure that your stuff is kind of all together at home as well, So really kind of making sure also that you're being a good steward. That if God has told you what your goals and your dreams and your purpose is and what it is that you need to be doing, not allowing yourself to be sidetracked, basically. Keeping on top of what it is and where it is that he's placed you, basically. And the last thing that I mentioned is 1 Coco full basket. Just basically not allowing yourself to feel overwhelmed, or perhaps thinking about taking your goal and your dream and, just segmenting it into baby steps so that you're not, thinking that you need to do everything all at once, because you don't, basically. So I hope this video has been helpful. I hope that you enjoyed it. And I hope that you're basically going to especially use these tips if you have been feeling overwhelmed. If this has been useful, if you enjoyed this video, then can I just ask that you like and that you share it? If you're watching on YouTube, I also strongly suggest that you subscribe if you enjoyed this, because, hey, I'm here every week with a new video and they're just as nice and just as brilliant as this one. So until next time, guys, I'm going to say enjoy the rest of your day, your evening, your morning, whatever time it is for you. And we shall speak again soon. Okay? Take care. Bye.